Alright, the last type of review on factoring we're going to go back to is trinomials. Alright, now as you remember, we did two different kinds of trinomials before. We did some trinomials like this, and we also did some trinomials like, let's say, like this. Okay, now remember, we said that it was kind of a different animal when the leading number, the A value, is 1 versus not being 1. So when it was not 1, we did something called, also called the AC method, maybe, when we multiplied 3 times 10 and said 30, and we had to do factors of 30, and so forth, But that, this is where the leading value is 1. This is where the leading value is not 1. So, but if we were back in school, I would definitely be doing this one as well. Since we're not, and the situation's a little different, I think I'm only going to stick to ones where the leading number, A value, is 1. So I'm going to review that. Should be pretty simple, I think, to you, I'm hoping. So just to kind of remember, you got 3 terms. So you have x squared minus 7x plus 10. Now, let me say this. You should be asking yourself, is there anything in common? Okay? So, but if you look, there's not a number in common. That's a 1, a 7, a 10. There's not a letter in all 3 of them. There's not a letter there, so you can't take one out. So, it's not anything in common. You should know it's not the sum or difference of 2 cubes or squares. So, you're thinking trinomial. So, on trinomials, on the easy kind, remember the easy kind is when the A value is 1. It's really all about the factors of 10. What are 2 numbers that multiply to be 10? And then that would be 1 and 10. Don't forget the obvious. And 2 and 5. Which one of those pairs will ever give me a 7? Actually, a negative 7. So 1 and 10 will never give me that. 2 and 5 will. But to get a negative 7, I need a negative 2. And I need a negative 5. Those two multiply to give me a positive 10. And they combine to give me a negative 7. You put your x's in the front. Your 2 factors are x minus 2 and x minus 5. And that's it factored. Alright, let's try another one. You should be fairly remembering this. So let's try x squared minus 2x minus 24. Again, is there anything in common? Almost, but that doesn't have anything that's divisible by 2. And this one doesn't have an x, so nothing in common. So we're going to do it as a trinomial. We want factors of negative 24. Factors of 24. Don't forget the obvious. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Helps to know your timetables. And so you're wondering which one of these pairs could possibly give me a negative 2. Which will combine to give me a negative 2. This one won't ever. A 2 and 12 won't give me a negative 2. That 3 and 8 won't give me a negative 2. This 4 and 6 is going to do it, probably. Let's see if I can get it to make it work. I need a negative 6. So that means I need a... I don't know, just kidding. I didn't say that. I need a negative 2. So I need a negative 6 with a positive 4. So that's going to give me... That multiplies to be negative 24. It combines to be a negative 2, which is what I want. I put an x in both. My 2 factors are x plus 4 and x minus 6. Those are my 2 factors. Let's try maybe 1 or 2 more. And if you got any questions, I'll take a look at them then. Alright, so let's go x squared plus 12x plus 20. Okay? Alright, so let's go with, let's see, do I have anything in common? Nope, not there. Not an x there. So I'm hoping for a trinomial. X and x. You're wanting to know factors of 20. Factors of 20. 1 and 20. 2 and 10. 3 won't go. 4 and 5. Which one of those pairs could possibly give me the 12? And that would be the 2 and the 10. 2 and the 10. So 2 and the 10. I need a positive 12. That means I need a positive 2 and a positive 10. That would multiply, so you can always check it. With your double distributing, x times x is x squared. X times 10, 10x. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 10 is 20. Combine the middle, x squared plus 12x plus 20. Checks to be the same as what we started. So your final answer should be, again, x plus 2, x plus 10. All right. Let's try this one. Let's try 2x squared minus 14x minus 16. All right. So I'm looking at my problem. I'm asking myself, what's the first question? Is there anything in common? Well, lo and behold, she done snuck one in else. So I got a 2 in all three terms. I'm going to take out a 2, but there's not an x in all three, only a 2. So I'm going to take that 2 out. She done changed it up on us. So that's going to be taking out the 2, and that's going to be 7x, and that's going to be negative 16. Remember, you divide 2 into all three terms. That's those aren't decimals. All right. So I took out the 2, but then you're going to still ask yourself, why didn't I ask myself a while ago on the first video? Because we hadn't done trinomials yet. That's why I knew it wasn't going to happen. So, but we've done it now. So we're fixing to ask ourselves, are there factors of 8 that will give me a 7? So factors of 8, 1 and 8. Don't forget the obvious. 2 and 4. 1 and 8 can give me a 7. So don't forget your 2. It comes along for the ride. And you're going to set up 2 parentheses. You're going to put an x and x. Now, 1 and 8 will give me a 7. I need a negative 8. So that means I either need 1 minus 8 or 8 minus 1. What kind of 7 do I need? I need a negative 7. So that means I need this, which means your 1 needs to be positive. Your 8 needs to be negative. So that multiplies to be negative 8. It combines to be the negative 7. So your final answer factored is 2, x plus 1, and x minus 8. All right. Last one, unless somebody's got a question. All right, let's try x squared minus 13x minus 30. All right, anything in common? Nope, not this time. So I'm going to bring that to parentheses. We're going to do x and we're going to do x. So it's all about the 30. What are factors of 30? 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4 won't go, 5 and 6. So which one of these pairs is going to give me a negative 13? This won't. This could. And this could. This 5 and 6 is 11 in case you added it wrong. So that's not. So which one of these pairs? So how do you know which one? Now, this is important here. Only one of these pairs will actually work. You got to be careful of your signs here. You need a negative 30. That means one has to be positive and one has to be negative in order to get a negative 30. So that means if I put the 3 and the 10, that does give me negative 30. But when I put a positive 3 with a negative 10, I get a negative 7, not the negative 13. So that means the 3 and the 10 is not going to work after all. Okay, so that means let's go back. And what do I need to use? I need to use, not that, but the 2 and the 15. Well, how do I know which one to put where? If I put it right here, still multiplies to give me negative 30. Does a positive 2 and a negative 15, does that combine to give me a negative 13? Why, yes, it does. So your final answer for your factors is the x plus 2 and x minus 15. So be careful on some of them when they have some pairs that could go for one, but not. Remember, it's got to satisfy both situations. So this is my review on trinomials with the leading number is a 1. Should be super easy. Again, if you got any questions, let me know on my email, and then I can try to correspond with you some way that might be better if you're still having trouble. So remember I care. I miss y'all. Please be safe. Please be smart. Don't do anything crazy. And sorry I won't get to tell you about any more of my camping trips. Bye.